think that we were gonna stop? Did you really think that we were gonna quit? Did you really think that we were gonna forget the sounds of the chains and the cracks of the whip? Did you really?
I want to welcome one and all to Divine Royalty First Podcast, where wisdom is wealth and wealth is wisdom. The name of this podcast is Breaking Down the Divide. And I'm going to be explaining to you where we got that name from. But before I do, I want to introduce my co-host, who is Tracy Knox. And Tracy is Divine Royalty Manager / agent. She is the feet on the ground. She is the one that get things done for us. And so she is actually going to be helping me break down the divide. And most of all, she is a young African-American woman who is a mother, who is a spouse, who is a sister, and she is going to represent a lot of our brilliant, beautiful, powerful minds when it comes to the Black women. So I want to properly introduce her. Tracy Knox.
Thank you, Naco. So I have known Nico Brown for now 20 plus years. It seems like longer than that. But I met him 20 years ago. He was a very close friend to my late husband, Apostle Curry E. Jones. Apostle Jones actually foresaw this. He spoke some things to Naco 20-some years ago, not knowing today we will actually be working together in this setting. So this is divine. Naco he's an author, he's a singer, very gifted and very, very talented. But most importantly, he is a visionary. And he gets things done. That's for sure. And he's also a mentor. He don't know, maybe he does know, but I do see him as a mentor. So I'm excited about the campaign. I'm excited about what's about to happen. And I know that this is the right time. This is the perfect timing.
Right. And speaking of perfect timing, we are actually launching our first podcast on Good Friday. So that is actually something that is exciting by itself. And we're going to talk about that. Now, I'm somewhat a little nervous. I really don't get nervous. I really don't get nervous. And so
that's all right.
So we're going to try to work this out. And probably by next week, we're going to be good. And so this week, what we want to do in our first podcast is just introduce the Unity campaign. We want to introduce some people that's working with us behind the scene. First and foremost, Dream Launch Studio, Patrick O'Neill is responsible for the production of this particular podcast. Brilliant young man, and so we thank him for his participation.
Yes.
We want to also give you some ground rules, all right? We're going to give you some ground rules so you can anticipate participating with us, because we want you to call in. We want you to have your questions. We want you to give us your insight on this podcast. So this is not just about me. It's not just about Tracy. It's about our nation, our community,
Right.
the African American community. And so this would be a good time for us to really kind of introduce to you what this podcast is going to be about. Now, for you that have been following Divine Royalty and following the Divided Nation Unity campaign, you have already read the book and you already know about the soundtrack, and you also know about the movie that's in the making, and we'll talk
right.
more about that. So this is actually probably a answer to your prayers or your wish list of being able to hear from the author. See, I told you I'm nervous. Author. And being able to hear from the author and being able to just understand the author mindset and how I wrote the book and why I wrote the book. And so the name of the podcast is Breaking Down the Divide. So we're going to be breaking down the book, looking at the signs and symbol of the book Divided Nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be also talking about how this applies to us today and how we can really prepare ourselves for what I believe is a major move, the next big move that's about to take place.
Right.
Okay, so so keep some key statements in mind. I need you to keep some key statements in mind. First of all, Divided Nation Unity Campaign. Okay, so this is what the podcast is going to be promoting: Divided Nation Unity Campaign, and we're going to tell you what that is all about. Also, we already understand the condition of our nation right now. And I have to say this, so brace yourself. I wrote this book back in 2005. Actually, I wrote the movie script back in 2003.
Okay.
And so I decided to write the book. And so we published the book in 2005. I have the copyright to prove it. This is way before Obama. Matter of fact, I sent Obama this book, this copy of this book. This is the original book. When I first wrote it, when he was a senator.
Wow.
Yeah, when he was a senator, and to this day, I'm still wondering, did he get the book? And this is my first time sending a personal shout out to our former President Obama. If you got the book, can you at least give me a yes? Now, I will say that we got a response from the White House saying that we received the book.
All right.
So I know he got the book. And our next podcast, or maybe we're going to show you the copy of what we received from Obama. For all that's worth, and I think it's worth a lot. With that said, so I wrote the book back in 2005. I wrote the script back in 2003. But look how relevant it is today.
Right.
Matter of fact, when I first wrote it and I tried to release it, some investors were saying it's too edgy, it's too much, it's like you can't do that.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, all right, cool. Around about 2019, those same investors was like, hey, you remember that project? You need to come out with that project, and we need to revisit that, because a lot of the things that we were discussing in the book back in 2005 2005 became very, very relevant in 2019. And so I believe as time go on, it's going to become even more significant. So your curiosity should be to the roof right now if you haven't read the book. And so you need to order your copy, A Divided Nation, so we can be on the same page.
So where can they order that copy from?
They can actually go to Amazon. They can go to Amazon and order their copy, or they can go to divineroyalty.com, divineroyaltyentertainment.com, and get a copy of the book. Okay? So let me just pause here and ask Tracy what you think about Divided Nation.
So when I actually received my book a while ago, but I took a week to read the book. I probably read the book one Saturday for maybe 5-6 hours, and dissecting each picture. If you could see my book, for the point of a African American young woman, I highlighted so many nuggets, symbols, and signs in the book. I could hear so much in the book as solutions for a young African American woman. I actually, as I was reading the book, my husband was like, "You still reading that book?" Because you want to get to the next picture and the next picture. And when I was finished, picture 63, I was like, I wanted to know what was next, like what was going to happen next in the scene. And then I also wanted to sit down with Naco and ask him, like, what was this? What was you thinking? And what was, like certain statements and certain things that I knew stood out to me. I wanted to see if, like, what was he thinking? Like, why did he write that? And what was the point? So I knew that it wasn't just a book. I knew that it was some teaching that actually was more in the book. That actually I knew Naco, he probably loves this opportunity now to be able to share with everyone, to share with the nation. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So absolutely. When I was writing the book, Divided Nation, the nation was not as divided as it is now. And I really don't have to explain that. So I was writing it for education, but also for entertainment. And most people who read the book say, "Wow, this is it's like a movie," and it is. As I said, I wrote the movie script first, so that's why they actually say that. With that said, we're going to break down Divided Nation, and we're going to bring out the solution A, B, C, and D. The structure of this podcast is this right here, and I want you to remember this, and I want you to get ready for this. I want you to brace yourself for this. I believe that something is about to happen in the African American community, and we have to be prepared, okay? And I believe that we're about to be promoted. We're about to go to another level. There's going to be a level of elevation. But watch this. There must be preparation for elevation.
Wow.
There must be preparation for elevation. Now, I'm going to shock you right here. And some of you may agree with this. Some of you may disagree. When Obama was in office, 8 years in office, I personally believe that the African American community did not capitalize off of those 8 years.
Wow.
I believe that we missed an opportunity to capitalize off of something that we have been waiting for, right, for a long period of time. When I was coming up, that was one of our fantasy. What if we had an African American president.
Right.
Right? And we was waiting for that. And guess what? It happened.
Right.
It happened. And I'm afraid that we wasn't prepared for it. And therefore we could not capitalize off of it. And I believe a lot of things that's taking place in the African American community right now today is because we didn't capitalize off of those 8 years.
Wow.
Because, here it is again, elevation must have preparation. If you're going to capitalize off of elevations and promotion, you must be prepared for that. Well, guess what? I got some good news. It's about to come full circle. We're about to get another opportunity. And this time, we're going to prepare for it. Something big is about to happen in the African American community. And I believe that this is an opportunity for us to prepare for the next opportunity for elevation. I do. And I believe that Divided Nation is going to help us with that preparation for elevation. Now, you need to kind of call somebody and tell somebody that we're going to get another chance for an elevation, but it have to come with what? Preparation. Okay, let's take a break for a moment because it looked like we have a question from Antonio from Tennessee. Let's see what he has to ask us.
Picture 3. What do the statement mean for Raymond and his father when he says, regardless of what happens from here on out, you have accomplished more than I could have ever prayed for?
Now, that's great. This is actually a twofold response. One, he was giving his son a compliment. He was actually saying to his son, you may be trying to get my confirmation or my affirmation. I want you to know that you have reached your goal and some. You have achieved and accomplished more than he actually expected out of him. Now, that's a very high compliment coming from his father, a well-accomplished man. And so I want to put emphasis on this here, that the older generation have to compliment the new generation, the younger generation. It's important for us to do that, particularly in the African American community. You'd be surprised of the young men who are doing certain things to try to seek the approval of the older generation. And so it's always good for the older generation to pause and just say, you know what, you're doing a good job. You know, stay in school, or you're working, and I know everything don't look nice and everything is not smooth, but keep up the good work. Continue to be that husband, continue to be that father, continue to do what you can do to maintain livelihood. So that's very important. And I think we should do that more. We need to do that more. The other explanation is, I believe, is even more powerful. The African American community as a whole need to hear that we're doing a good job. And we say a whole lot about negativity, the things that we're doing in the community, or the things that we're not doing right. Every now and then we need to pause and say, you know what? But we're not doing as bad as we used to do, you know. And as a whole, we need to compliment one another. We need to let each other know that we came a long way, and we're going to continue to achieve, and we're going to continue to accomplish. And I'm quite sure our great-grandparents and the great civil rights leaders would see us today and say, yes, you know, y'all not there yet, but guess what? you're graduating from college, you open up businesses. We achieve and accomplish so much more than what many probably didn't expect us to do. So that is the question. That's the answer for that particular question, Antonio from Tennessee. So I hope I did that justice.
So when you was talking about preparation, my mind went to you really explaining, because people right now are thinking, well, how
Right.
is Divided Nation
Right.
going to prepare us for that?
Right. Right.
So you're going to have to be able to fully
Right.
break down
Right.
those key points.
Right.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Now let me say this. Let me say two things real quick. Then we have to move on. Two things. All right. Maybe three. Every promotion you got, you had to prepare for it.
That's right.
Every promotion you receive, you had to prepare for it. Why is it that we think that the African American community can just get an elevation, get a promotion without preparation? So we have to prepare for it. All right. If we don't, we're going to miss that opportunity. Okay. Now, the second is most of the time your preparation have a textbook involved. Somehow, some way, you have a textbook involved, some reading take place, some education, some stimulation of the mental, of the mind, getting you ready to go to the next level.
Right.
Right? So this is what the Divided Nation is going to be for our next elevation. It's going to be the stimulation of the mind to help us to prepare for that elevation.
Right. Can I share something real
Sure.
quick? Right. That's powerful because as I'm going back, preparing for the podcast, reading each chapter, each picture, I'm actually digging and researching. I shared some stuff with you last night about 2003, 2005, what was happening. So I fully understand what you're saying, because when I went back to read the chapters, I began to see more. So my mind started expanding, stretching, going, researching, looking at other things to connect to each picture in the book. So that's definitely true.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And so, we can look at our schools before we could go to the next grade. We had to take that final exam, right?
Right.
We can look at even our jobs, certain jobs. Said, we want to put you on the president level or CEO level, but you got to take this test.
Right. Right.
And so here it is again.
Right.
Here it is again. And so I'm saying personally, I believe that the Divided Nation is going to be that textbooks that prepare us for this particular elevation. So I need you to get your book so we can be on the same page.
Right.
I want you to read it. And so when we talk about it, you know what we're talking about. We talk about picture 1, picture 2. And by the way, way back in 2005, I decided not to make my books have chapters, but pictures, because I want you to see the picture of it. I want you to visualize what you're reading. Wow. I want you to visualize it. And so I have picture 1, picture 2, picture 3. Plus I want to be different. And that's just, sometimes that's to my fault, but I wanted to be different. And so with that said, so when you hear picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, we actually talking about chapters.
Right.
Okay. So with that said, we are going to pose this question. What are the 2 fantasies that lie beneath the African American community? I told you one. One was having an African American president, right?
Right.
Okay. And now we have a woman vice president who happen to be African American. And so that's a major accomplishment in this day and this time.
Right, right.
So that is actually a compliment to Obama. Imagine that. He was the president, and now Ms. Harris is
The vice president.
the vice president.
Right.
Perfect. You can't get no more perfect than that, right?
A woman.
Exactly. A powerful, black,
Woman.
intelligent woman.
Right.
And by the way, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about if you really want to get something done, you have to involve a woman because, you know, they have this unique ability to give birth to dreams, to give birth to ideas, to give birth to businesses, and birth to families and community. And so that's why we have to definitely treat our black women with respect and love. And that's something that all of us have to learn. And we're going to continue to learn that lesson and continue to celebrate them.
Yes to that.
For sure. I know you're going to say yes to that. So the second fantasy was to have our own land. To have our own land. Okay. We look forward to having an African American president, and we also look forward to having our own land. That haven't happened yet. That didn't take place yet. And so it's a spoiler alert. Divided Nation is about that. How do we develop our own land? What would that look like? So this podcast is also going to promote not just Divided Nation Unity Campaign, but 3 key facts. All right. Number 1 is unity. We're going to put emphasis on unity and how we can unite as a people. Because I tell you, we're about to get ready for something big, and we have to at least master this before we can be elevated. Okay, unity.
Unity.
Second is ownership. We're going to talk about ownership. We're going to talk about how, as a community, we have to start owning things, owning stuff that represents that land that we always wanted to own.
Wow.
And finally, we're going to talk about a global identity. A global identity. Now, my producer is telling me I got to wrap it up. So I didn't know,
I was thinking of
right, how fast time went. I told you I was a little nervous. I got comfortable. I'm getting comfortable. This is my first podcast. And really, I'm a public speaker. I was saying I'm used to being in front of the crowd. But this particular event in a venture is new to me. So I thank y'all for your patience. And, continue to cheer me on, pray for me, and whatever you do, continue to help. Now, I don't know. Tracy seems like she's cool. She's not nervous, and that's how she do though.
Oh no, I'm nervous, but that's okay.
Do you want to say anything before we wrap it up?
No, I'm gonna wait to we dissect picture 1.
Right.
But like Naco said, go get your book, go to Amazon, order your book so you can be a part of the discussion.
Right. And so you won't be left behind
Right.
in the holdout. And once again, preparation for elevation. And so Divine Nation is going to help you to do that. So once again, thank you for allowing us to introduce to you our first podcast. This is Divine Royalty Entertainment production where wisdom is wealth and wealth is wisdom. We are coming from the Dream Launch Studio where Mr. Patrick O'Neill is doing his thing on a major way, right? All right. So We'll see y'all next time. And all I ask you to do is operate on the highest level. See you.